This is a Hot Pie Media original. Hi, I'm Deb, and this is my podcast.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Why racist white guys keep winning elections? Why stocks and bond yields move in opposite directions? Why Deborah calls eggplants aubergines? What color was that dress from 2015? Deborah, tell me, I don't know anything. You're listening to the Deb O'Keefe Podcast, the podcast where Deb O'Keefe doesn't know anything.
Have you guys heard of Festive Kitchen? Now you have. Festive Kitchen. You're going to want to remember that. Put that in your brain, because if you're like me and you like having friends over, you like taking gifts of food over to friends if they're celebrating an event, or maybe I don't have kids, so I like to bring food gifts for my friends when I go to their kids' birthday parties, because I know that that's a lot of work. So when I go to shop.festivekitchen.com, add the /Deb on the end there, you get $20 off your first order of $100 or more. This is what I can do. I can make these gift boxes, have them sent over to my friends if I'm not going to be at an event, or I can take the food for the event myself. This is some of the things that I like to do. They've got cookie dough balls. You can order cookie dough balls on this website, and it's amazing. Thinking of you, 5-day dinner collection. Definitely for that mum that just had the kids, or maybe the kids all summer on their own. I have a friend that I did this for earlier this year. Her husband went out of town. She's a teacher, and she was just overwhelmed. And so I sent her some food so she didn't have to worry about that. It's all made easy for you. I'm looking over here at the website because the food is delicious. Basically, it's comfort food hugs, guys. Maybe you can't be at a family holiday event. Maybe you want to show your presence and your love. That's one of my love languages, I think. I like to bring food and beverages around and have people around my house centering around food and beverages. So I actually have some of the hors d'oeuvres from Festive Kitchen on the way to me right now. And I'm so excited. I'll be able to tell you about them once I've had them. But they make it easy for you, all right? You just go to the website. There's free shipping on all orders over $75. And trust me, if you're having 4 or 5 friends over, you're going to spend at least that. So go to the shop.festivekitchen.com/Deb. You can check out all of their comfort foods, their sides. Now, I don't eat chicken, but my friend who's sitting here, you can't see her off camera. She loves the chicken salad. It's fabulous. She gets it all the time. It's so easy. She works a lot of hours and just gets it sent to her house, brings it to work. So she's always got a healthy snack. You can do it right now too. Shop.festivekitchen.com/Deb for 20% off your first order of $100 or more. Attention, early bird gummies contain THC from hemp. That's what this little card I'm holding up stands for in front of me. It says, see reverse for details. This is an amazing piece of paper because it made me believe that you can legally get THC gummies right here in Texas from Early Bird. That's a fact. Earlybird.com CBD. Add the /Deb and you'll get 20% off your first order. This company, based right here in Austin, have made getting relaxed, having a chill time, having some easy fun with your friends. They've made it so available and they've made it delicious. Early Bird gummies. Where are my Early Bird gummies? Oh yeah, they're right here. Keep them with me at all times. They come in these great little 4 packs. Again, you can share these with your friends. Maybe you're heading out to a festival at the weekend. You're going camping. Oh my gosh, take an Early Bird gummies, go camping under the stars. How amazing is that going to feel? Each gummy contains 2.5 milligrams of THC and 12.5 milligrams of CBD. You know me, I don't do numbers. I don't really know anything about anything, but I've spoken to the people at Early Bird CBD and they've worked so hard to get the full spectrum experience for you, meaning you're going to be able to relax on these Early Bird gummies. You're going to have a chill time with your friends. You're never going to get super messed up. That's why I like them. And of course, we want you to enjoy them responsibly and respectably of youngsters. All right. They come in these great, easy to seal, very uneasy, difficult to unseal packages, as well as the big tubs. They come in 30, child proof, and of course for 21 and up only. Again, you can go to earlybirdcbd.com/Deb. I've got CBD on the brain, guys. Go to earlybirdcbd.com/Deb for 20% off everything your first order. Ever since I started my brand new podcast, thanks for showing up, by the way. Appreciate that you're here. I've been wanting to get this guy on. I've known my next guest for, 10, 15 years. And I've tried to get him to tell me he loves me forever. So I'm interested to see if I can get him to do that today. I'm also interested to see what he's been doing during COVID lockdown as he's a performer. I am, of course, talking about the incredibly talented, the more than likely incredibly stoned comedian extraordinaire, Doug Benson. But firstly, I'd like to say how bizarre it is to talk to you in a room. This is very strange to me. I've never not talked to you but one time, which was on the phone. I've never not talked to you in person. It's very strange. Is this your abode that you're in?
This is my home, yes.
Doug, with a home with walls and I don't know, maybe I thought there'd be those, when you hook up with the guy in college, and you walk in, they always have those tie-dye things stuck to the wall because they like weed. I know it's really immature that I thought you might have that, but is this just your staged room that looks really good for the audience?
Well, I mean, it's funny that I guess there's subtle nods to my, my whole weed thing because that trophy up there, can you see that trophy?
I can. So I thought it's for Gymkhana or something.
It's like a cannabis trophy of some kind.
Oh, very nice.
For being I think it says something like Vegas cannabis comedian or something like that. But this rubber ducky over here is actually a pipe. You could smoke out of it.
The police will never figure that one out when they do the raid.
No, and also why would police raid an individual citizen because he has a rubber ducky bong?
You forget that I live in Texas. I think we all live in fear about being raided. I'm a little nervous because I currently am carrying a uterus. Makes me a little nervous living in Texas with that. So to think a rubber ducky could be dangerous.
With that all the time. It's tough.
It's very tough. It's not fun right now, especially. But of course you're in California. You can do as much weed as you like. Doug, though, we recently. And I don't know how recently, because I asked questions about this, about weed and medical marijuana in Texas, but I'm so ignorant about all the THCs and the CBDs. It goes in one ear and out. It's almost like sports. I kind of appreciate it, but it's in one ear and out the other. But check this out, Doug. My sponsor of the podcast is Early Bird hemp-infused gummies. They're real. They've got THC and CBD in them, and you can buy them online. earlybirdcbd.com/Deb gets you 20% off your first order. Not an ad, but there'll be an ad later. Isn't that cool?
What do you mean it's going to be an ad later? You just said it.
Yeah, well, I have to tell more information later on. I've got to be all professional about it. That was just a freebie. But Doug,
that's just like a tease for the ad.
That's a tease. But my point is, we've hung out dozens of times, and I've been witness to and probably facilitated in people leaning over and handing weed to you and saying, Doug, take this. And I don't know if you recall, but I've never partooked.
Right.
I never smoked with you, Doug, because I've always been a big vag when it comes to smoking weed and taking gummies. I've just had some bad experiences, maybe taking too much. Everyone likes to say, you don't do it the right way, Deb. But I've actually found a thing. I take like 3/4 of this, half of this a day, another same thing at night. Super chill. I get why you like it now. It's your thing. It's catching on, Doug. It's all these years you've been advocating for it. It's catching on.
Yeah, it really is. I think people are starting to really dig it, and I take full responsibility for it.
Are you like on the payroll of big THC, Doug?
Wait, what's the question?
Exactly. Oh man, I love you. You know we can swear on this podcast, right? So feel free to use whichever colorful language you care for.
No, I just, as is often the case with these scenarios, there's a little bit of audio drop on my end once in a while. So I miss a word or two from you. But usually in context, I can follow it. But that last one, all I heard was something about THC. So that's why I was like, what?
Oh, yeah. So it played in well because I asked if you were on the payroll for big THC and...
There you go. See, I missed the words payroll and big.
Is that going to happen, do you think? Now, like I said, I'm not super aware of all the laws around the land, but I know it's legal in places to cultivate and manufacture. Obviously, these guys have been manufactured and sent right here, and you can buy them online. Do you think one day it'll be sort of like big tobacco, where it will be government overseen in order to create taxes and the control and pros and cons? Please feel free to add.
Well, that's the thing is, Texas hasn't really participated yet, but each state that, says that medical marijuana is legal or recreational marijuana is legal or both, all of those places have their own, they can set their own rules because they're determining this state by state. So each state, it's very complex keeping track of exactly what all the laws are regarding cannabis and hemp and CBD. And, there's all these loopholes now. Mm-hmm. There's this thing called Delta 8 that people are into, but it's unfortunately got the word Delta in it. I think that's bad timing, but it's, it's another one that's kind of like in places where cannabis specifically is illegal. This Delta 8 apparently is close enough to the feeling of THC, but without having any, or I don't know. It's all so much for me because I just like getting high. I like talking about it a little bit, but it's not, it's not my everything. It's not your world.
Yeah.
So I'm terrible as far as being an expert. Like that's why you never see me on
Weed.com
talking head shows where they're debating, what's going on with marijuana. I just know that I like it, and that my main focus right now is that there are still people incarcerated for something that many people in this country are doing freely and legally. So that's where I think we need to focus right now is certainly no more arrests for bullshit marijuana stuff, but definitely get all the people that are arrested or have a record.
Expunged.
There's people, they're scared to cross the street, to jaywalk because they, already have 2 strikes against some of these kinds of silly marijuana misdemeanors, that end up leading to somebody spending a great deal of time in prison over these silly things legal. That are often, based on, it's in an area where there's a lot of poverty and, so they have to resort to selling drugs just to, make any kind of money or any kind of living.
Is that so? Are you involved in that in sort of this social justice platform that's come forward? I know some people like Kim Kardashian have sort of lent their name and notoriety to it, and in some parts it's been successful. Is that something you see yourself sort of physically getting involved in, or are you just like all behind the movement?
Well, I'm talking about it all the time. That's my physically involved at this point because most of podcasting and stuff is still this style, over the internet. But I do a lot of try to raise money and awareness for something called Last Prisoner Project. You can find on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and they are basically what I just said. They're just about getting everyone out of prison that's there for drug-related charges.
All right, we'll link all that information and it'll probably be put somewhere on the screen. This is on YouTube as well, Doug. So I'm glad you have us in your fancy dining room.
Hello, YouTube.
Yeah, they're all staring at your sweet do. I like that. I like your long hair right now. You almost, no offense, it's very sort of medieval page boyish in a sexy way. If you can picture that.
I get, all the range of comments. Like if I saw somebody with hair like mine, I would,
join in.
I would have plenty of insulting things to say. Getting a lot of, Snape from Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's coming up a lot.
But Alan Rickman was hot AF, R.I.P.
I guess so. I don't know. I thought he looked, I don't know. I think long, not gray hair on an older man it's a weird look. It looks like feels like they're cheating or wearing a wig or something.
You're making all the other old men who were bald very jealous. I think
exactly.
You should go with it.
Or at least gray. It should at least be gray. So it's weirding me out. But I've just never had hair this long. Like this is probably the longest I've ever let it grow, even like in my teens. So I'm excited to say here. I'll announce it right here on your show, Deb.
Exclusive.
That it's an exclusive that I'm not going to get it cut.
Yes.
Ever.
Yeah. Ever.
I'm just gonna.
Wow. I'm
just gonna let it grow.
I'm just gonna let it grow.
See what happens. It's gonna be a terrible, horrible mess. I'm sure, but I'm just gonna let it grow.
Do you believe in genetic potential for hair? You know this theory? You might not have heard it because it's mine.
I mean, I think
it's my
believe
theory.
in it, but I also don't know what it is. What is it?
It's my theory that my hair... You mean you haven't heard of this, YouTube land? So my hair is generally sort of boob length right now. You've known me off and on through the years. I've had it long and short.
Sure, up and down. Sure.
Up and down. But it's generally like, it's above nipples right now. But like nip length for me is, that's it. That like, don't even try and grow it past anymore. Because then it sort of starts going like pointy and weedy and very thin. And it doesn't have the fullness of up here. So I believe that my hair's genetic potential, much like my height at 5'5" and 3/4 and a little bit, that's it. That's it for me. I think this is it for my hair. So Doug, this is going to be a fantastic journey of living with Doug, finding out what his hair's genetic potential is. And you heard it here first, listeners.
I don't think it's good. I think it's going to be bad because it's not going down. It's trying to grow out.
Yeah.
And
you need
it's like
to embrace
getting all
that.
like Pippi Longstocking on me,
So this is, guys don't learn this, Doug. You get your hair, listeners. I'm putting my hair under the nape of my neck and you push your fingertips up like you're being caressed by someone. Then you stop right there. And then you went too far. You got to stop right there. And then you got to shake it like this. And then you pull it out a little bit. Then you let it go. And look at all this bouffantness I get from it. See?
Oh, yeah. Well, I can make it bigger, but I don't know if that's the goal necessarily.
Give it some body. All right, off air, Doug. I'll recommend all of my hair pomades and everything else that you'll need to, go through the growing period.
This is my hair impression of Jennifer Aniston right now because she wears her hair over her ears. Mm-hmm. And like when she's on talk shows and stuff, you know how it's a natural move to just go like this with your hair. Yeah, it's just normal.
Push it aside.
Thing people do, especially nervous actors when they're not having a character to play. Uh-huh. But she every time she does it, she goes like this. She starts to push back, but she quits in enough time to never reveal an ear.
You don't do that, Doug.
I've seen her do it a lot lately. She won't show her ears. Is that because are ears the first thing to look old?
Have you seen, by the way, I've watched a lot of plastic surgery videos. You might be right. When they cut around the face for the facelift, there is a shit ton of extra skin around the ear.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, you've made me paranoid. Will you look at my ear?
Because I've seen it with other actresses
do they keep
too.
It down?
Like they have their hair completely cover their ear. And then when they go to do that move, they just have to do it so lightly. They can't really push their hair back because it'll reveal the ear. and they're good at it.
This could be it. That you could be like fuck the Pizzagate, right? All the celebrities doing bad things to children.
I'm all about.
This is
I
the
found
new
a
thing.
Red carpet. It's a red carpet conspiracy
to keep the ears out of the line. All right, I want you to tell me, Doug, if I have weird ears. I have a thing about my ears. I think they're very normal.
What do you mean? Because they're elfin?
They're elfin. You've seen. Do you remember my ears? I have teeny elfin ears, and my mum used that word to describe them years ago. Are you drinking out of a Crawford mug, by the way?
No.
Oh, I have
what
a
does
mug.
That mean?
I have
no, this just says Bleecker Street. It's the name of a production company.
I just thought, I can't take this off for long because I can't hear you. But all right, I'll do that Jennifer Anniston thing where she goes like this, but I'll go all the way for you, Doug. Okay?
Okay.
How's my ear?
I mean, maybe I just don't see a lot of ears lately, but it looks perfectly fine.
Here. Okay, audience, watch out. I'm about to show both ears.
Maybe everybody's covering up their ears. Yeah, I mean, I remember when can you hear me? I remember when you put those back on. I remember when I'd hear
when I cut it all off.
You've worn your hair in ways where your ears have been revealed. So I've seen your ears before.
But Doug, it was about 5 years ago. We'll put a picture up on YouTube right here.
I never thought anything
maybe my ears got old in the last 5 years.
Negative about your ears.
Well, I do. So I do have a weird thing about my ears because I think they were put on a bit crookedly. And when I was a kid, you know, maybe this is where we get the move the hair from the face thing from. My mum used to always come to me and tuck my hair behind my ear. And I would always go, oh, God, like, stop, Mum. And I would do the Jennifer Aniston thing and put it around my face. Maybe ears aren't fashionable. Maybe that's a thing that's been inbred in us for some reason. You know, like you can't be overweight or have a weird shape. You've got to look like everyone else. Maybe there's ear pressure that we never noticed. Back to you, Doug.
Yeah, I don't know, because so many bald men, you know, their ears are just always out there no matter what, you know, like even if they put on a hat. So
you got to learn to love it, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, I've just also learned to disregard the ear. You know, I don't pay much attention. Like, you ever find yourself getting lost in, like, you're watching a movie on a really big screen and there's like a close-up of somebody's face and you really just start looking at the details of this person's face when that's not what the job is about, really. They're just supposed to be a person playing a character in a story. But it's still just like, it's so invasive, the close-up. Like, you really... you get in tights. And that's why these actresses, I think, like they're just constantly worried about that everything very thing, about having their entire face scrutinized. But that just makes it worse when you have to change or cover or all those other things that they're doing. Yeah.
I feel like you're right. A lot of women performers or actresses, especially like you said, with the gigantor close-ups. But it does affect men a lot too. And you've been on TV. You've made a movie. You've been in movies. You're on TV kind of right now. Do you give a shit or do you freak out about the little things? Like I always feel like I have a big paw right here on my left side of my nose, but I doubt there's anyone that could ever see that other than me. Do you ever like sit there and go, for God's sake, this one nostril, why doesn't it match the other one or whatever it might be?
Yeah, anytime that I'm like in that sort of headspace or, you know, or notice something, but I try, you know, one of my favorite things to not do is watch myself. You know, like if I'm in a movie or TV show, I'm interested in what my part played in the whole thing. So like, I do want to see it, but I don't love watching myself, you know, like I do. Like I'm bad at watching like footage of myself and having to edit it. That's why I've only made like one TV special, because I hate having to look at myself, but I also, don't want to just give the editing process away to somebody else to make the decisions, you know?
It's a hard thing.
It's a weird dance to play. Like, oh, I hate how I look from this angle, but this is the best angle we have for the delivery of this particular joke, you know? So it's like, as soon as vanity comes into play in comedy or acting, then you're going to be less good at it. I think.
Yeah,
I
your
think
self-consciousness would take over that creative. I don't give a shit. Let's just perform and do the thing that I'm here to do.
Yeah, well, that's why I love podcasting. Is it's kind of both. Is it's like your flaws definitely show, but they're also like it's less pressure to begin with. Like nobody really cares.
Yeah. I'm hoping that people are watching this thinking I'm not going through a weird new goth phase, but I'm trying out lipstick. So, that's another thing you look at on the screen is I'll watch this back and I'll go, God damn, why didn't someone tell me that lipstick was hideous?
Do goths wear like a whole white shirt like you have on?
That's true.
Is white a good goth color?
Probably. I am wearing black trousers though. Just all
there you go.
Monochromatic today. Trying something new.
Or
with the lips.
You know how they say not to wear white after Labor Day? Maybe that's how goth they flip it. They're like, fuck you, after Labor Day, I'm going to wear white.
This is to stick it up to the man, Doug. Big time. We're going to pimp your podcast because that's, one of the reasons why people do things. So here's where you can find it if you're watching YouTube. And feel free to pimp all the other things, Doug. I know you don't just have one. You don't have one podcast, do you? Don't you do more now?
No, I've got two like free podcasts that people can get where they get podcasts. One of them's with a mutual friend, Doug Mellard. We have a show together called
Doug.
Wide World of Dougs. And we would love to have you on that show sometime if you'd like to do it.
I love the Dougs. I need to get the other little Doug over here. Did Doug move back here? I had a rumor that he was coming back to Austin and leaving you guys behind.
Austin. You're in Austin, so that's why I'm wearing my Austin City Limits shirt today.
I know.
I mean that, and also because it's laundry day. But so then I've also got Getting Doug with High. Used to be on YouTube, but now it's exclusively on Patreon. You have to be like a member of our Patreon to watch that show, but we still do weekly episodes of that. And and I just, it's just all about all these different, ways to, especially during the time that we were all staying at home. I did a lot of cameo, where people just pay
cameo.
You to say happy birthday to somebody or whatever.
Do you enjoy that? I have a friend of mine who's an actor, a real life actor, and he got on it. And he's been in Lord of the Rings and multiple other things. And he said to me, Deb, you need to go on and do a cameo. And I thought I didn't, because number one, I didn't think they would accept me and I couldn't handle the rejection. And number two, no one gives a shit, right? But you're making money on cameo. That's pretty rad. Is it still, it's still happening?
Something. I don't do great on it, but I also don't, I also charge like kind of a reasonable amount. Like
Wait, can I guess? I can't guess.
No, because I move the price around all the time. Like I do specials and stuff,
Yeah.
But that's what I was just going to say though, is that, you can tell how into it a celebrity is by how much they're charging. Because if they charge a lot, it's not necessarily they think a lot of themselves. It's just they're like, well, if I'm going to be bothered with this, it's got to be for this much, So like you set a number where you're not going to get a lot of requests, because it's ridiculous, But then when they do come through, it's a pretty good payday. I'd feel guilty personally charging anybody more than, even if I was a bigger celebrity, I still wouldn't want to charge more than a couple $100 because some of them on there are like $5,000.
Wow.
Just to make a happy birthday and Zelda video.
Surely those people are making their living. I've heard there was some tertiary office characters, The Office, that were making their full-on living with these cameos. Good for them.
No, you can really do quite well. A lot of people give all or half or whatever portion they want to some charity. That's another one where a celebrity has like a high price. Sometimes it's because they're doing it for charity. So they, want to get as much as they can for their efforts. But yeah, my price is is always wiggling
Moving.
around. I like to
I
do
like that.
special.
Keeping
Now they
everyone
got this thing
guessing.
called cameo calls where like people can just talk to you for a couple of minutes, almost like a FaceTime, but you don't, you're not exchanging your phone number. You're just doing it through the app.
Wow, that's pretty. I mean, if you're a huge fan of somebody, remember us when we were kids, you'd be lucky if you ever saw them to get a signed photo, whoever this special being might be. And now for X amount of money, you can have a chat. That's pretty incredible technology.
Yeah, it's incredible. And also, of course, scary just because, actually talking to someone, can lead to, social miscues, misunderstandings.
I'm a woman. That happens every day.
Exactly.
No offense.
Exactly.
Glad to hear that you're feeling some of that.
No, I do feel it quite a bit. Like I feel it a lot in my social media because I get a lot of men. I get a lot of mansplaining to me, and I'm like, oh, I can't even imagine what it's like to be a woman and have you can't write, sky is blue without a bunch of tweets telling you why you're wrong.
Yeah, or nice tits.
Yeah, or just taking it there. Yeah, just taking it to that place.
It gets there really quickly. Do people, let's say, of the other sex or the sex you're interested in, do they ever slide into your DMs and get fresh with you? God, did I sound really old then?
I think they're all sex robots at this, they're all just...
Hello, I am Olga.
They're all just fake accounts. Yeah, because it's funny how repetitive it gets. Like in my DMs, it'll just be... a picture of an attractive woman, but then the only thing they say to me in the first message is "Hey," But it's like it happens a few times, over the course of a couple of days. It's like, why can't they at least change that up a little bit? But
that's making me laugh, Doug.
Sometimes to click on it, and see the account, because the accounts are like they try. They make no effort to make it look like a real person. Like
zero followers.
The fake account is always just like 5 or 6 pictures. Doesn't even necessarily. They're not even pictures of the same person.
No.
They never write captions for any of their pictures. Like it's always so basic. It's crazy.
This is why women should get into the bot game, because obviously we know none of these women are women, they're bots. But the bot programs are clearly written by men, because your DMs sound like my dating website messages. Hey. Really, dude?
Yeah.
Hey. What the fuck is that?
The
equivalent of that is going up to a bar. There's a pretty lady or a nice gentleman, and you just walk up and you go, hey, and you walk off. You just yell at, hey, across the street, and you don't. That's it.
You don't even walk off. You just
you just stand there. Hey,
nearby. You're around.
Hi, guys, stop fucking doing that. Bots. Here's a cheap tip. You might get actually into Doug's DMs if you say more than hey. Oh, Doug, dating culture, life culture, internet culture.
But that's what I don't get, though, is what is the bot going to get from me if I become friends with the bot?
I've never figured that out. Maybe they think that, like the Prince of Burundi, you will just pass over your mother's maiden name and a bank account number. It must just be very, very hopeful that works sometimes with, like you said, bless you, Aunt Zelda, who's way too active on social media but doesn't understand the algorithms. That must be it.
Oh, the algorithm's gonna get you. Is what I'm saying.
That's a good one. That is a good one. refineaesthetics.com. Just go and check their website out. It really does set a good example for the type of treatment and service that you can expect when you go and visit them. They have an amazing studio. It's a boutique med spa studio downtown, and they've got the most amazing veteran practitioners. These are nurse estheticians, and of course a doctor overseeing the whole procedures that have been experienced, and not just the medical side of aesthetics. It's the art side as well that you're going to love. So let's say maybe you're feeling a little aged, feeling a little saggy. Maybe you're like me and you see stuff on camera and you're like, ooh, I'm losing some fullness in my face, some volume. Well, you know what? They can help you with that. Go to refineaesthetics.com, where you'll learn about all of the treatments available, including laser treatments. They've got Botox, they've got fillers, they've got all types of different amazing processes to make you look and feel your best. Don't forget to mention my name, Deb. It's the Deb O'Keefe podcast, and you'll receive 15% off your treatment at Refine Aesthetics. Of course, you'll find them in town, downtown Austin, but visit for details right now at refineaesthetics.com. Doug, are you, let's go back to your comedy, because your algorithms are going to get you. That's a game. Did you start that game on the internet where on Twitter, someone will say a band name and change something, like you just did the song Gloria Estefan, by the way? Did you start that fad of the switching the one side or the other online? I'd like to give you credit for it, just like the genetic hair potential I've given to myself. Let's just say you invented it. You heard it here first.
Okay, yeah, I invented whatever it is you're talking about.
All right, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, good one. We'll put that in your little bio on the website when we release the episode.
Yeah, just say I invented games.
Invented the joke.
Oh, yeah, I also invented comedy.
How has it been not being able to travel as prolifically as I know you usually do? Obviously, last year was, for you guys in California, must have been almost complete lockdown. We had some COVID shows. I mean, we had some showcases here in town that lasted for a while. But are you back to normal now? What's the story this time last year compared to now?
This time last year, it was like all outdoor stuff was pretty much the only shows going on. And then this year it's, indoor is going on along with continuing outdoor. So people kind of have different levels of safety they can explore. And then a lot of indoor. In California, everybody has to be vaccinated, proof of vaccination, which is like,
you got to bring your little card.
Not that difficult to come up with.
Yeah. You is this rude now? Is it like asking somebody if they're a virgin or how much they make? Are you vaccinated? You can answer or say, I care not to answer. I'm just curious.
I'm not a virgin. I'm proud to say I'm not a virgin.
Congrats.
I don't want to tell you how much I make, but again, that, much like my cameo, it fluctuates wildly what I make. And, and I don't have any kind of pension plan or health plan or anything. So I really have to, be careful.
Or just hope we die at like 60.
Yeah, exactly. What was the third thing?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's the trouble with asking. Like, what was the third thing, Colton? Did I say? Oh, yeah. Although the actual one, we have a 19-year-old in here who remembers everything, Doug. We're way too old. Are you vaccinated? And you don't have to answer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I am.
Right,
I am,
cool.
But I got the J&J.
Oh, well, so you'll have less than living to 60, right? Isn't that what they're saying now with the J&J? Or is that you're going to have an aneurysm? Or you'll need, I don't know, I can't keep up with the conspiracy theories for each different vaccine. I say you're all good.
I think the biggest J&J, thing is just people going, well, if you can get if the J&J is just one and everybody's satisfied, why would anybody have to get two shots? That kind of thing.
Yeah, but just more nonsense.
But this one shot just feels like it's like slightly riskier, but they're also going to have some sort of booster available soon, I'm hearing.
Yeah, well, I think the double vaccinated booster is already happening, and so surely yours will be along very soon.
Yeah, and I think that I believe everyone should get vaccinated. I don't feel like there's any downside to it.
Ditto.
But I also feel like the best way to not get COVID is the things we have known from the beginning, which is distance and masks and washing your hands a lot.
Yeah, I think a lot of these. I hope a lot of these things will stay. I'm not a full-on germaphobe, but for years, working where I used to, I would lots of visitors in the studio all the time, and I'm very weird about shaking multiple people's hands all the time, and so for a long time I've done the elbow bump, which
Mhm.
is now you can do that professionally. You know, you're with your bank manager and you would elbow bump, and it's all nicely understood because of COVID. But like for full on germaphobes, they just must be, you know, in heaven. We've got nice little foot. Have you ever used those foot handles that are at the bottom of the door so you don't have to touch a handle?
I hate to break this to you, Deb, but
What?
those are only in Austin, Texas.
Oh, thank you, Austin.
I swear to God,
weird everywhere.
I was just there, and I was marveling at how like several places I went to had those. And I'm like, why aren't these everywhere? And Austin had them pre-pandemic too. They didn't just put them in because of the pandemic.
We just added more.
You're just so ahead of the game there on that particular issue, which is pretty hilarious considering where the whole state is at.
Right. Maybe it's just in Austin because I'm sure you're not headed up to Lubbock or Waco when you come to town.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it's just us.
I do think I've heard that those things do exist elsewhere, but like I'm kind of shocked at how like I don't see any here out in California, and it just seems very obvious and also strangely, I don't know if fun is the right word, but just something about using your foot to open a door. It just feels like you've learned a new skill.
It's just getting a little strange is what it is, because we're used to this vanilla missionary of pushing and pulling with our hands, and now we get to get a little kink on.
Yeah, and it is a little bit of a move you have to do. You have to kind of put your foot
shimmy
down,
backwards
kind
a
of
little
slide
bit.
it behind you to the side.
Good little cute. It gives you like, oh, you know what? Like you're putting some angles out there when you open that door, Doug. Come back to Austin soon.
Yeah, it could lead to a weird situation if somebody on the other side comes barging through right while you're trying to do it.
You're on the floor if that happens. But no,
that could be bad. So I don't know. Now I'm scared of those things, but they should have them. They should have them everywhere.
Yeah,
the Alamo Drafthouse movie theaters, they have them, and that's another thing that started in Austin was the food and drinks that you see in the movies, but also respect for the movies and the sound at the same time.
It's a whole culture. I'm sure there's maybe just one or two people watching or listening that haven't heard of Alamo, but it literally started out as an old theater where Tim League and friends jumped in and removed every other row of seats and put little tables, and you put order cards up and they bring you food, but they absolutely will kick you out if you're too noisy. Doug, I got a warning once at Alamo Drafthouse, and I was mortified. It was worse than, and I was really good at school. It would have been worse than like a note being sent home to my mum. I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me. And I thought, what if this gets reported? Is this like on my permanent record at Alamo Drafthouse? And they didn't call a manager. They just sent a note saying, shh, or we'll bring one over. I felt terrible. Have you ever got a card, or you're probably just so good?
I haven't. I'm good, but also, I feel like they give me maybe a little more leeway than I deserve. But I don't really talk. I'm not really a movie talker, but they just do a great job of like, even though people are ordering food and drinks and stuff, of keeping it quiet and not crossing, in front of you, and it's just the whole setup is really great. But yeah, they do give you one warning, and then after that they'll ask you to leave. But I think that system makes that one warning make people like you go, oh shit, like I didn't realize they were going to be this strict about it, and then that's usually the end of it, I think. But the trouble is, just like with comedy clubs, they are trying to make money off of your inebriation. Like they're selling you drinks. So then to say, and oh, by the way, you person we just got drunk, don't be loud about it. Be a quiet drunk.
That was the problem that one time, Doug. Plus,
you just have too many of those. Yeah. They give you strong drinks there, so you have too many, and you're off to the,
principal's
you're off to
office.
Comment card number one.
It felt bad. No, I believe it was an after brunch impetuous movie going decision, and so brunch had already happened, and then adding to that, because we booked late, only the front row was available. I get a little bit seasick when I'm up close. And so I think,
Sure.
I'm not making excuses for my past behavior. I'm apologizing. I learned from it. I'd like to move on. I'm a different me now, if that's acceptable.
It was a mimosa matinee.
It probably was. Jesus Christ. Talking of apologizing for past deeds, that's, obviously we're all having to face. I say all, not everyone is, but I think everybody, whether you're in entertainment, media, movies, music, whatever, but we should all be looking at how we behaved several years ago, or when times were different, if you want to put it like that. And I've looked back on things like that and other things that I've done and things that I've said on air, and I've really sort of raked myself over the coals over a few things. I've made some public apologies on air and to people that I felt like I was a little too harsh with, and that's something that I've been lucky to be able to do to those people. But have you ever been in comedy, because it's such a fluid medium? You do so much. You're in movies, you're in live things, you're off the cuff, you do podcasts, you're scripted. Are there things that you feel like you've had to look back on and say, well, shit, that has not aged well, or I really regret that? Or has it been, are you one of the few that, and I know that they're out there, that have been relatively sort of unscathed by this, or have just been actually a good person?
Yeah, I think any stand-up comic, if you go back, if they've been doing it 15, 20, 30 years, as you go back there, especially in the very beginning, they're either just the sheer lack of quality or the sort of wrong-headedness of that person at that time can certainly come out, and I think it would for most people. Like, fortunately, I don't really remember my old jokes that, like some stick out. Like every once in a while, something else strikes me as like, oh yeah, I used to say that, and everyone just sort of accepted it. But now it would be unpleasant. Like the only way I could get away with it is to some sort of setup about how unpleasant it's going to be. And even then, I just don't think, and that was more like just a racist voice, just a kind of a caricature, basically.
An accent or something.
That I thought was making fun of that caricature. But like, you really, that's a very thin line.
Yeah, and why bring it up to explain it?
It's like having your cake and eating it too. It's like getting away with something while also,
owning up
saying
to
that
it.
you're attacking it.
Yeah. Yeah.
This bit is against racism. This bit's so racist, it's against racism. It's like, okay, maybe, but probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not, white guy.
Right, with all your privilege just dripping off your fancy locks.
Yeah. So defensive.
All right. That's good. That's you're lucky then that's, and your style of humor isn't so much shocking.
I never went after race or sexual orientation, I certainly would slip into those areas and say things that, looking back, I find inappropriate, like, violence against women. I wouldn't have any jokes about that now, but I used to have a punchline where it was just, the joke was that it was shocking that I was suggesting violence against women, but that's not a joke. That's not something, to make light of, but that's also when you're younger, you just kind of wanting to shock more.
Yes.
Like, people do laugh when they're shocked, which is also like, it encourages the wrong kind of behavior in a comic, because, well, they were laughing. Well, they were laughing because they're like on the verge of gasping,
That's true. That's funny that you mention it like that. And then we talked earlier about how women are treated, when they're contacted on social media, and you've felt kind of violated. It's sort of similar that women can feel that way too, when we sort of hear those jokes, and we perpetuate them as well in some ways. I think we all do. But growing with comedy is something that I think it should be easy if you're good. I've heard a few comedians, especially around last year, Me Too was blowing up, earlier than that. But that, you know, I've heard the excuse, well, guess I can't make any jokes about anything then, can I? It's like, are you fucking kidding? Like, that's all you've got? Be better. Actually be funny. Make some shit up. Don't just perpetuate stereotypes and outdated tropes. Like, get more creative. Sorry that you're so basic.
Yeah, and it's a shame that people are allowed to give feedback now. You know, like it used to be in stand-up comedy. Like I think a lot of the things we'd say and do on stage that we would get away with would be because it's sort of just in that room. There's no amplification of what happened, especially if it's ad-libbed or something, you know. And now it's just people will call people out immediately for these, you know, things that may have upset that person, but it's still that it upsets it. I don't want any of my jokes to upset anyone, especially in the audience that came to see me.
Yeah, they paid for you, right? What? Just kick them in the face while you're at it.
Time.
Yeah, that's what they're there
I just want them to have fun, you know? So like, of course I'm not going to, but also just, you got to think of a bigger picture than that, not just the people, because I probably do mostly have white male fans when you count, you know, when you add it up ultimately, because they're more of the comedy, white male comedy ticket buying audience. You know, that's how that lines up. But, you know, still there's just because it's all white people in the room doesn't mean I should be up there attacking everybody else, you know?
Actually, I want to make a soundbite of that and send that to every other straight white male comedian or podcaster out there. Just because you have this specific audience's ear doesn't mean you got to wind them up and ramp them up about shit that we already know they're probably slightly angry about, being, you know, young straight white men nowadays. No offense to those of you out there who know exactly what I mean, but there is a big percentage of the young white male person out there that's a little outraged right now that they can't do this, can't do that, shouldn't do this, not supposed to do that. It's like, I love that you're not playing into that. I wouldn't expect you to anyway, but the fact that that's a conscious effort is applaudable. So from a woman to a man, like, thanks for doing that, because there are a lot of men, successful men in entertainment in your position that don't, you know, they really lean into that and rile that sort of audience of theirs up. And I think that's kind of dangerous right now. Scary.
Yeah, well, like there's even like Seinfeld was saying I wouldn't play colleges anymore because college students are too PC. And it's like, no, the reason you shouldn't play colleges anymore is because you're an old man that college students don't give a shit about. That's why you're not playing colleges. Plus you have all the money. So
that's really weird.
Why are you even, it was weird that he was even entering the conversation. Like,
that's a weird
he was only
quote.
kind of doing it to support the idea that no comics could play colleges because they're so PC. But that's,
wow.
In my mind, college audiences have always sucked. You have to just go there and kind of just tell them what they want to hear or say stuff that is going to go over their heads. And then you get a big paycheck and you go home. Yeah. Like you don't, you know, like that's, I've never been like, oh, I can't wait to get at that college crowd and get the give and take. I'm going to teach them stuff and they're going to teach me stuff. No, it's just me saying my stupid jokes and them going, oh, we're uncomfortable because, you know, there's not a boy in this auditorium will admit that they just jerked off that afternoon. So, you know, they're not going to be excited to hear some, you know, man talking about it on stage.
That's a good point.
You know, they haven't lived yet. They're in college. Like all the jokes should be about, you know, you know, here's what to expect kind of stuff. But then it becomes a lecture and not a comedy show, you know? So I got booked at a lot of colleges just for being a stoner comic, you know, like somebody at the college would be like, let's get that. The kids will love it. And a lot of schools, the turnout wasn't that great for my show because it wasn't like a druggy kind of school.
Or your show's not the bro show.
Other schools, they'd have to turn people away from the, you know, packed auditorium because I was there. You know, it's just you know, every school was different about like how heavy they were into cannabis. Of course, that had a lot to do with the time with what
state they.
Yeah. Like I did a tour when states first started becoming legal for weed medically, I did a tour of like the first 13 states to flip, just to kind of draw attention to these. I'm just gonna, jokingly saying I'm only going to go to places where I can legally, get a medical card and smoke.
I like it.
And and now I've got to see over all these years, so many places are completely legal, and I still go to places where it's illegal because it's not the people that smoke weed in those places where it's illegal. They're still there. They're
still doing it.
Stuck there. They're stuck there in many cases. So I want to come. I don't mind coming to them. Because they deserve weed comedy as much as the places that have legalized it.
Put philanthropist on his bio, if you will. Also, I love that you're a weed philanthropist.
I go wherever they pay me. That's my kind of philanthropy.
They have the bat signal, but it's just the weed leaf, and you're like, I'll be there.
Yeah,
I'll
be there as soon as I'm comfortable getting in a small plane again. Come see you.
Doug, I flew to England recently, and
I know, that's crazy.
I tell you, I felt really, really weird about it. I had only since December 2019, when I was fortunate enough to spend a couple of weeks in Hawaii over Christmas. I hadn't traveled since then until earlier in the summer. I took a quick, teeny little few-day trip down to Mexico. I felt that was just 2-hour flight, I don't know. It seemed safe. But getting on that flight, not direct either. You can't get direct from Austin anymore right now, I guess, because of the pandemic. But it was a couple of flights, couple of airports, many people standing around, no social distancing. I'm double vaccinated, and I'd taken the test before. I had to take one when I got there. I had to take another one to leave. I've taken one since I've returned voluntarily. That in itself is stressful, but yeah, being on the plane for 8-10 hours was a little ropey. And I'm looking at your face, and you're not ready for that yet. Not ready for a big plane. Not ready for a big trip.
Oh no! I've got to fly to the East Coast in a couple of weeks, and I'm still not crazy about that. I've gone on some pretty long flights, but that'll be the longest one.
Have you seen
thus far?
Have you
getting back? It.
Yeah, and LA to the East Coast isn't short either, or pleasurable going that way as well, especially with the time change. But have you seen any sort of violence or weird mask people freaking out? Like I said, a couple flights this year since last year, and I didn't see any, but it's obviously out there. You witness any?
Yeah, well, I definitely witnessed the tension, and I feel it myself when I see the flight attendants. I get it. They don't want to have to be the police of the sky. But at the same time, passengers telling each other is what seems to kind of flare things up hotter and quicker, because then it becomes, don't tell me what to do. You're just another person on this plane. You're not the boss of me. So I wish that flight attendants were better about telling people to. But I see flight attendants with the mask that's, I
just
get it. They're working,
nose.
they're busy, but they slip down, and they don't pull it up all the time. So it's like if the people that are running the show aren't even doing it, then, obviously, why would you expect all the passengers to do it? So that frustrates me as a passenger, because I'm just looking around and seeing this happen. I've got my mask on, but I really do now just try not to look around as much as I used to. Like, I used to be real nosy about everything that's going on the plane.
Me too.
And now I just sort of like look at my phone or, watch a movie or go to sleep and just try not to look around and concern myself with it. Because if you let it bother you, there'll be somebody sitting across the aisle with their mask off, like slowly eating something and just taking their sweet time. And, and they say in the announcement,
you can think of.
Put the mask on in between bites and sips, but nobody does it that way. They take it off and they eat their whole thing. And, I just don't want to even see that, because I just don't even want to have that feeling of what, it makes you feel like you're Larry David everywhere you go, because he would say something. He would be like, get that mask on.
I do have the inner Larry David voice, but especially nowadays. You just got to put your horse blinkers on sometimes with stuff like that on a plane, close quarters. All right, I'm wearing my mask. I'm certainly not going to let my guard down when Grossy McCovid face over there is stuffing his face. It is probably best just keep out of it. It's the sign of the times.
Yeah, if I do get COVID, I might not know where I got it from because I could have been like next to somebody for a long time, not realized it.
That they're gross.
But it's mostly just planes is the only place I really get stuck with people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because I won't even ride in elevators with people. I'll like take the next one or stairs.
Interesting. I hadn't thought of that. I guess I don't live. You know what? I take in this building. I take the stairs. I'm not trying to be cool or anything, but it's actually easier than the slow ass elevator that is in the building.
Oh, it's often easier to take the stairs, but people are lazy as F.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, on the plane, Doug, when you're talking about the person next to you eating, on the plane home from London, I flew into JFK. And this is not an ad, but it can be if you want to get at me. JetBlue, I flew JetBlue. They now do direct from JFK to London, Heathrow, which is cool that there's another, I guess, it's not direct from Austin, but that's good that there's a direct from the East Coast. And I don't know, I was a bit nervous when I saw that I'd booked with JetBlue because I thought they were just, they're going to take me to Mexico or they're going to take me to Vegas. What's it going to be like going all the way to England? And it was great. The service was great. The food was great. The planes were comfortable. And it was just 3 and 3. Whereas usually on the big planes to England, it can be 3 or 4, 5. It can be huge. Yeah. It can be a huge plane. And so I was very grateful. With empty seats, I had an empty seat next to me, both legs. But there was a guy across the aisle, Doug. This is very embarrassing. And I don't know what I should have done, but maybe you can help as a comedian. And he had very long legs. And I was in the aisle too. And yes, he might have been mildly good looking, what I could see. And he had big hands or something. I don't know. He was a decent looking guy, but I'm only just telling you that for context. That wasn't what I was going for. But at some point, the flight attendant came by and said something, and we both acknowledged it and shared a word. And then a little while later, I got up to pee. And when I came back, I noticed a few rows behind me, there was an entire row of seats that weren't being sat in. On a transatlantic flight, that's gold. That hasn't happened for years. So I go back and I look at the guy. And by the way, I've got a mask on. He's got a mask on. It's loud. We're on a plane. And I looked at him and I said, hey, if you want to go back there, there's a whole row of empty seats. Because he was really tall and he had long legs. But I don't think I had told him that. I had just noticed that his legs were like hitting the chair in front of him. And I was like, hey, and I pointed at his knee and I said, there's a whole row back there. And he just kind of went, oh, okay, and sat there the rest of the whole flight with his knees touching the seat. And it dawned on me about 20 minutes later that he might not have exactly heard what I said. And as I pointed at him, and then I pointed to an empty row of seats, I said, you can go back there. Was that an awkward plane interaction where that dude who sat next to me thought I wanted to have sex with him in an empty row of seats for 8 hours? Was that what was going on? Because I kind of did what you said about ignoring the passenger after that. I thought, this guy thinks I just totally propositioned him for an empty row of seats. Would you have taken it like that?
Let me think here a second.
I'm still mortified. If I could find out who that guy in 28C was coming back from London to Gatwick. He was very tall, maybe about 35 years old. Didn't have a ring on, but that didn't have anything to do with anything. I was just telling him there was an entire row. Doug, I'll go to my grave thinking about this moment of how mortified I was for a good 7.5 hours, 7 hours and 15 minutes probably of embarrassment. Couldn't sleep the whole way either. I had nowhere to go. I'm pretty sure this guy thought I wanted to bang him in an empty row of seats. I'll
tell you, I'll give you this much. I think that if you were offering to bang him in that row of empty seats, you would have been like, hey, there's a row of empty seats back there, wink or whatever. And then you would have made a beeline towards those seats instead of just going back to your regular seat.
And just pointing and saying, hey, there's a thing back there. All right. So I
didn't go back. If you'd have gone back there, then you would have been like, oh shit, and so to this day, we don't know if you would have gone back there or
Never
not.
Know. So you're saying there's a chance as well, like it could have happened.
I'm saying it could have happened, or at least it could have been that's why he just sat there, is because he, didn't want it. But
Yeah.
either way,
I'll never live that down.
it's definitely it's a confusing offer. Even when you were telling the story and you said how great it is when there's a row of empty seats, I thought the story was, so I went and laid down in those empty seats.
I was going
I didn't know
to.
you were going to be so altruistic and try to give it away to some.
I was feeling
some tall dude.
altruistic. I don't know how it feels when your knee touches the seat. It's got to be
sucks,
yucky.
But, he knows he's tall. That's, he could just stay home.
Is that the price he pays for like always having sex with any size woman and not having to feel bad about his height? I know that's a real.
Is that how that works?
It's a real big short guy hang up. This just in, I've banged more than my fair share of short guys and average guys. So I'm not a heightist, but I've got some good looking on the shorter side of things male friends who just put their lack of dating prowess down to their height, and that women, when they meet them, go, ooh, no.
It's a real problem.
It's a real thing.
It's that's why I think a lot of shorter men become,
incel terrorists,
comedians, performers, not athletes so much, but jobs where they, kind of have to really, really excel to stand out, because they're already, smaller than everybody else.
I feel like that was a really sad segment. I didn't mean to make it that way. All right.
R.I.P.
Sad short guys. I love you.
I've always been like not tall and not short. I'm in that zone.
What is that? Let me guess. Is that 5'9.5"?
5'11".
See, that's tall, Doug.
It is?
Yes.
It's shy of 6 feet. I think 6 feet at least should be tall.
No, okay, get at me on the comments here, because I feel like 5'11". If I had a 5'11" boyfriend, I'd say my boyfriend's tall. I would describe him as tall. Wow.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good, I guess.
I mean, does that change things for you? Probably not, but
I have too many friends that are like, in the mid to high sixes that
they lord
really
over
throw
you.
things off. I'm always looking up, so I feel like a short person.
Yeah. Well, this is an exclusive. Doug Benson not growing his hair or not cutting his hair ever again, and is tall. Put that in your bio, Doug.
You knew that. I mean, I guess you've seen me in person. You know how tall I am.
I feel like, but I know that I'm on the shorts. I'm not short for a woman. I'm probably average, but I know I'm not tall. So you to me are tall. This just
all right. I'll accept it.
I think we should leave it on
From
that
now
on that positive note.
Henceforth, everyone will call me Tall Doug.
You know why that looked so good? Because you're standing kind of with your hand on your hips and you have this medieval page boy haircut, like you would be making announcements to the court.
Yes.
Hear ye.
Everyone listen to me from now on.
Okay,
I bequeath myself.
Somebody please make an awesome page boy style outfit animated on the bottom of Doug with his, that would be so cute. All right, Doug Benson, famed comedian, fan of the marijuana, official tall guy. Thank you so much for stopping by my podcast.
I had a great time. Would love to have you over at the Wide World of Dougs, even though you're a Deb.
I am a Deb. I could be an honorary Doug for the day.
Well, we talk all about how you feel about the name Doug and how you feel about your own name, Deb.
Yes.
And then we go even deeper. We each, both Dougs, Doug Mellard and I, we both write questions specifically for you and take turns asking them. It's fun. You'll have a good time. We'll do it.
I'll book it.
Soon.
I'll reach out to my two Dougs. Let's get on a 3-way text chain.
Mm-hmm.
I like
We'll make it happen.
We will.
Yeah, I love it.
Thanks, Doug. Love you.
You're great.
No, we're still doing that thing. Thanks, Doug. Love you.
Okay, great show. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thanks, Doug. See you soon on your podcast. Love you.
I love movies.
You fucker. One of these days, Doug. Oh, that was wonderful. That was a little piece of going home, talking with my friend Doug. Of course, see below to subscribe to Doug Benson's podcast. Am I allowed to do that on my own podcast? You can subscribe to it. I don't care. He's great. He's a good fan, and I'll be on his podcast very soon. And if you don't follow him on social media, you should. We'll put all the details on the Apple iTunes page, of course, on Spotify. All the information will be there. If you're not watching on YouTube, you know you can right now as well. It's just the Deb O'Keefe podcast. You can comment on my weird makeup. What do you think of this today? Is it weird? Jeez. Got this like purplish lipstick on. Is it goth? I'm not saying that in a bad way because I like all different looks. Let me know. Leave a comment below or get at me on my social media at Deb O'Keefe. As always, thanks to my sponsors for sponsoring the show, because without you, I wouldn't be here. And thanks to my lovely producer, Colton. Thanks to you guys. Love you. Thanks for listening. You can find more episodes and all of our other Hot Pie Media originals baked fresh daily at our home online at hotpiemedia.com, the Hot Pie Media YouTube channel, or wherever you listen to podcasts.